What do you think are your feelings about concert in the area? You know, what it was like and what it is like now? Do you?
Well, it was lovely. Well, it's
Well,
changed too much.
there's what I find is a big change. It's been happening for a few years now. Is you can go to a concert, and you might not see anybody you know, nobody to speak to anyway. Years ago, say when the company was working, and shortly after that, and before, you just knew everybody by sight. You didn't know who to speak to through the company or all the little offshots of the work that was. I mean, say J.E. Robson's where I work. You know, the spin-offs with the car. I mean, we moved the garage from Durham Road up to Front Street down the bottom where the Aldi is now.
Aldi is.
That was J.E. Robson had opened a new garage there in 1958. Where it was dead handy for people going to the company. I mean, the entrance was just down the road. They'd drop the car off, go to work. So you've got garages and other stuff like that. They're all closed now as a result of this. The knock-on effect from the company is just unbelievable.
But you have to go to supermarkets to get your petrol or your diesel. There was lots of little petrol stations, but they're all gone. There was Webster's at Shotley, wasn't it?
I mean,
that's all gone.
We're looking through a few more photographs before we came up here. Maeve was a supervisor in Woolworths, and there's a good photograph when Woolworths became self-service. Does anybody know when that happened?
1958.
Showing your age, Tony.
1958.
1958.
There's a photograph that was of how it was gone from the way it used to be. Because everybody went to Woolworths in them days, didn't they? You went to concert and just about everybody went to Woolworths, whether you wanted...
Well, all the lads on a Saturday went in and walked round.
And I would think there'd be very few of us as bands who wasn't crying for the mummy because they got lost. You know, I know it's happened to me a time or two. Because there'd be that many people in the shop, you know, and all the different counters. You could easily get lost.
So you worked in Woolworths. Did you work there for a long time?
I worked there from I left school till I got married.
And then you stopped work?
I stopped work.
You had your children then? Yeah.
I didn't work for about 26 years.
Yeah.
And then I went to Redwell Hills care home.
Right.
And I was there 11 years. That was it.
Yeah. Right. So that kind of, you missed the camaraderie, which is what we've talked about, obviously.
I think it definitely. I mean, we live in Bridge Hill, and we've lived there 50 years. This year we've lived in Bridge Hill. And just by listening to the voices going past on a night time and that, you knew who they were. And you knew who kids' faces were from their family. Now we don't know. Literally don't know anybody.
Well, every house that's empty now comes up for sale, and it's buy to let. And we've got them from all over, just on our little bit of the road. They're from everywhere. So,
Whereabouts are you in Bridge Hill?
Cheetah Road.
Oh, Cheetah.
The top end.
Yeah.
But you don't know anybody.
From an environmental point of view, which is something we've touched on before, I mean, you know, we don't have the problem with, you know, it's a bit of a kind of, not a sore subject, but when I mention the red dust, normally I can see people's body language changing here, because I'm kind of attuned to that. It gets a bit defensive. But it, you know, we've talked about that before. I mentioned this to Joe about the instances of tongue cancer and red dust and what it was like. And I've spoken to some women who said, you know, put their washing out and then they were never able to keep a shirt white with all this pink, and never seen a white carnation, they were always pink, and all those kind of things. The guy tells me he walked along the road and used to tap along the metal railings because he couldn't see. Do you think that is that obviously better?
That was right. Well, it is, aye. Well, after the red dust, it was the smell from was it Cellarware's factory?
Well, there's smell coming from the...
So when the Cellarware was spraying,
aye,
you know, when he used to spray, it was lifting
terrible.
it all.
Aye.
But I'd rather have the spray than that red dust,
right.
man.
Yeah.
Any day.
My mother lived just up Mensley Road, and whenever she washed white sheets, I used to bring them down and hang them on my line, because we didn't get as much red dust as what they got in concert, you know. But was
They used to open their precepts up on a night, didn't they, and do it. I used to live down the Grove, and the kids' back bedroom was on the back when I used to be telling them nighttime stories. You could see the precepts open up, you know, with a big glow and that. We used to call it Orange Time. I actually wrote a poem about it years ago. God knows where that is now. But it was called, I used to say to the kids like Orange Time, you know, and the sky would light up down the back of the Grove, you know.
Well, out of our back window, we could sit and watch the slag getting tipped down the slag heaps, and it was lovely to look at, you know. But
But there's two sets of precipitators at the steelworks. There was a one built directly behind the steelworks, small set, and they were absolute rubbish. They did spit nothing but red dust up. Then they built the big ones right out in the end, probably them ones on that photo. Yeah. And those ones did work, but every now and then it was coming out. And somebody turned around to me and says, do you know what it is? It says it just takes someone to go along there and press a couple of reset switches and it'll start working. And it tripped. And whoever the guy was that was in there was somewhere else. And it started, and it would just start belting the red dust out. And he didn't know, obviously because he was inside the precipitators, in the work area. But somebody says, if they just press the resets, says it'll start working again. Don't get us wrong, it would have still been spitting some out at some time.
It depended a lot on what kind of steel we were making. And if we were making a rimming steel, where we blew the backside out of it, as they say, they were made night shift.
My next
That was too. With even good persips, but as you say, but I've been in the persips and they used to rot away. That was the problem. The stainless steel used to rot within years of them being built and just fall apart. And the current could go through, but there was no stainless steel electrodes to pick the dust up.
So did the red dust feature throughout the day, or just at night, or was it more visible at night, or?
Well, it wasn't. It was more visible at day. But I wouldn't say how much came out during the night.
Yes.
Because you couldn't see it on a windows. A smoggy windows night.
I was thinking about what Paddy was saying there. Obviously, that was at twilight time, was it?
The Grove, you could see it on a night time, you know. Any time, you know, in the dark nights and winter.
If it was on the night time, you rubbing your eyes, it was coming out.
My next door neighbour actually fell inside the precipitators and was blinded.
The line though.
Came to the
You fell into what, sorry? What did you fall into?
The precipitator came through the red dust and got blinded.
Oh dear me.